live on air, so I'm going to start recording, okay?
All right.
Recording in progress.
Hey, Diane, while we're waiting for a quorum, could you correct the spelling on Commissioner and Commissioner Maggio's name?
Will do. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 7 p.m. Miss Secretary, we can begin, right?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. All right, at this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, January 12th, 2023. And this is a meeting of the Rent Stabilization Commission. And this is our first meeting in the year of 2023. And first, we would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather, currently known as the city of West Hollywood, is the occupied, unceded, seized territory of the Gabrielino Tongva and Gabrielino Kizh peoples. Commissioner Maggio, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, forgive me for not standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag of the United States of America
and to
and
the
to the
republic
republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all. Thank you. Ms. Secretary, may we have a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Krupes?
Present.
Commissioner Maggio?
Present.
Commissioner Martz will be absent. Commissioner Wright will also be absent. Vice Chair Ayers?
Here.
Chair Topshin?
Here. We have a quorum. Thank you. And our next item on the agenda is approval of agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review the items before us tonight? And if you have, so do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda, and the second, Ms. Secretary, may we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Krupes?
Aye.
Commissioner Maggio?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ayers?
Aye.
Chair Topshin?
Aye. Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Thank you. Next item is approval of minutes. We have the minutes of the meeting on December 14, 2022. And has everyone had a chance to review them?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion. The second, Ms. Secretary, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Krupes?
Aye.
Commissioner Maggio?
Aye.
My apologies. Vice Chair Ayers?
Aye.
Chair Topshin?
Aye. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Thank you. Item 6 is public comments. Ms. Secretary, do we have any public speakers at this time?
No public speakers at this time.
All right. Then we're going to move on to the next item, number 7, which is the manager's report. We have Rent Stabilization and Housing Manager, Mr. Jonathan Hollop, here tonight. Mr. Manager, we're ready for your report.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Jonathan Holler, Rent Stabilization Manager. Looking at the look ahead, there is an appeal tonight. For the next meeting in January, there's no appeal, but staff will be bringing some proposed amendments to the rent stabilization ordinance. Some things brought by council, directed by council, some things actually brought up by the commission, and also items from staff. We will likely have an appeal on February 9th. Also on that date, we've confirmed that a representative from the Coalition for Economic Survival will do a presentation for the commission on that date. Want to let you know that the county actually extended the tenant protection resolution. So it was just for another month. So it will be through the end of this month, expiring on January 31st. They extended it due to the countywide surge in COVID-19, influenza, and RSV cases, and to align with the City of Los Angeles protections. They do have another meeting on the 24th, so we'll monitor that to see if there's any changes. But at this time, that will expire on the 31st of this month. I did get a report from Betzetic for a 2-month period that they indicated that they have received, they've opened 24 new cases. So I don't know what it was per month, but I guess that would average out to about 12 per month. They are continuing to see primarily non-payment cases. There are a few others scattered in there, but it's primarily non-payment cases. As anyone watching may have noticed, we're online. That will be the case for the next 2 months. So presently we will have all of the commission meetings in this format through to the last meeting in February, and hopefully back in person in March, but that remains an open question. And of course, we'll let you know, and the public will know through the posting of the agenda for each meeting. And that's my report. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hollop. Commissioners, any questions at this time regarding the report? Mr. Hollop, there are some amendments for the next meeting. Are we going to get something before the meeting? I mean, what would be the format? Is this something that the city, the department is proposing and would require our review and vote, or this is just a review and file, and this is for the city council, basically?
Well, it's similar to previous amendments that staff has brought, in that you'll review them and give feedback and make a recommendation to council as to whether or not to adopt the staff recommendation.
Okay, so we will have a chance to review and ask questions and make recommendations. Okay, great.
Of course.
And would these items include anything that was previously recommended by the commission at the study review or otherwise?
Yes, there will be. There's at least one that I know of that was commission initiated. And there's also at least one that's council initiated, and then I believe the balance is staff recommendations.
Okay, great. So then we're looking forward to that. Thank you. If there are no more questions, we're going to move on to the next item, number 8, which is the commission comments. Commissioners, do you have any comments at this time? I see none. On that, okay. All right. Let's start with the Commissioner Kerpis.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I wasn't able to attend, but I did watch the mayor's inaugural meeting, and it was very nice. It was very celebratory. I look forward to seeing where the city goes under her leadership.
Perfect, thank you. Vice Chair?
Yeah, I just want to mention that in December, the city did mail out the rent stabilization newsletter. I have it right here. And there's some good information in there. If you are in a rent stabilized housing unit, then you would have received this in the mail. But they are also available on the city's website, and as well as all the newsletters that go out to landlords. And that's it.
Thank you. It's a good info. Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Maggio, anything?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I don't have comments also. All right, that we're going to move on to the item number 9, which is the appeal section of tonight's meeting. And we have one appeal before us this evening, and that is a rent decrease application D-4689. Pertains to the property address 1021 North Edinburgh Avenue, unit number 7. This appeal is filed by the landlord. And the first, I would like to confirm, Ms. Secretary, if we have the representative from the landlord and the tenant both present.
I see the tenant in the waiting room, and I spoke to the landlord right before the meeting, and he did say he was going to be attending, but he is not in the waiting room. Would you like for me to admit the tenant?
Yeah, but since the appeal was filed by the landlord, I just want to make sure that the landlord has the opportunity to be here. Unless if there's a connection issue or something. Do we have a phone number? Can you call it?
Yes, give me just a
Okay.
moment.
Thank you. And we can wait for a few minutes.
He's logging on right now. Oh, here he is.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll wait.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and admit the tenant and the landlord.
Perfect, thank you. All right, since we see both parties are present, we're able to admit and okay. So since parties are present, I'd like to take a moment and explain the appeal process. The commission will hear staff report presented by the legal counsel, Mr. John Natalizio, and then oral argument will be next. The appellant, in this case, is the landlord, will speak first, and the landlord will have 5 minutes to present the case, and the landlord will have an option of dividing this 5 minutes into 2 segments. You may use part of your 5 minutes to state your case and part of your 5 minutes for the rebuttal. The respondent, in this case, the tenant, will speak second, and you will have 1 minute segment to present your case on the appeal subject. When it is time for you to speak, please state your name and the city of residence for the record. The appellant will state how would you like to divide your time, if at all, and proceed with the comments. Since your speaking time is limited, it is important to keep in mind that your comments have to be on topic. The only information you may provide is that information you provided at the hearing, and no new evidence can be considered by the commission. You may discuss the issues that were raised at the hearing, and we may interrupt you at any time if you go off topic. So with these strict rules, I'm gonna ask the legal counsel to present the report, Mr. Natalizio.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, and also to the Vice Chair and the Commissioners. My name is John Natalizio. I'm the legal counsel to the Rent Stabilization Commission for the City of West Hollywood. As the Chair noted, this appeal was followed by the landlord, Taylor Migdal, in response to the hearing examiner's decision granting tenant Terry Bolo's rent reduction application regarding the elimination of the building's common area on-site laundry services, which included one washer and one dryer. The hearing examiner granted a total rent decrease of $120, $60 for the washer and $60 for the dryer. The hearing examiner identified that all appliances, including plumbing provided by the landlord, must be maintained by the landlord in good working order. The hearing examiner also identified that a tenant is entitled to a rent decrease whenever there's a substantial reduction or elimination of a housing service without a corresponding reduction in rent. The hearing examiner noted that the definition of a housing service depends on the initiation of a tenancy. However, the hearing examiner noted that regardless of which definition of a housing service and used, the inclusion of laundry services, even if not in the lease, would constitute a housing service actually provided by the landlord in this case. The hearing examiner found that the laundry facilities were housing services provided to the tenants by landlord, and that those housing services were eliminated by the landlord in May of 2021. The landlord appealed, claiming that the decision constitutes an abuse of discretion. Staff finds that there's substantial evidence in the record supporting the hearing examiner's decision, that the hearing examiner did not abuse his discretion. Therefore, staff believes the commission should affirm the hearing examiner's decision. The facts in the record are clear that the tenants for units 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, and 8 had common area on-site laundry, one washer and one dryer. It is also undisputed that the landlord removed the on-site laundry soon after that April 2021 correspondence. And on-site laundry qualifies as a housing service under the RSO. The evidence demonstrates that there is no corresponding reduction in rent with the elimination of the on-site laundry. Therefore, there was a substantial reduction or elimination in a housing service without a corresponding reduction in rent. Staff agrees with the hearing examiner and finds that landlord's arguments are unpersuasive and counter to the RSO. And the RSO is clear that a housing service expands beyond what is in the lease and includes services provided by the landlords to the tenant. Therefore, staff recommends adopting resolution RSC 23-621. You as the commission have the power to affirm, reverse, modify, or remand the appeal decision to the hearing examiner. The commission reviews the hearing examiner's decision under the substantial evidence standard, which requires the commission to make sure there is substantial evidence that reasonably supports the hearing examiner's decision, is credible and of solid value. If that evidence is found, then the decision must be upheld, even if there is also evidence that could support a different outcome. The commission does not substitute its judgment for that of the hearing examiner or reweigh the evidence. And as it relates to questions of law, the commission applies an independent standard of review to the hearing examiner's conclusions of law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Natalizio. Commissioners, are there any questions for the legal counsel this time? Commissioner Kirkis, please.
Yes, thank you. I just had a question about, I understand that units 3 and 4 were not included in the reduction. Number 3, I believe there's no tenant in, I may have it mixed up. There's no tenant in one of them and there is a tenant in the other. I believe the hearing examiner stated that no one had objected to the reduction. I know he made the argument that, or the reasoning that the washer and dryer were added to that unit, so they weren't losing significantly losing a service. But in one of the emails, the landlord wrote that he had advised the tenant not to use the washer, but that didn't seem to be part of the case at all. Is that fair to remove the individual without them being able to either defend or explain why they may or may not be affected?
Yeah, I'm uncertain if there's anybody in unit 3 or 4. The hearing examiner's decision was just based on the fact that the evidence of record showed that units 3 and 4 had laundry in unit. And so therefore the loss of a common area laundry service would not result in any sort of substantial reduction or elimination of a housing service. I didn't see the email that you're referencing, so I'm not sure, but at least the hearing examiner's basis was just that the services continued to be provided based upon the the in-unit laundry service. And then the other thing is just there was no appeal filed by either units 3 or 4 if they wanted to appeal that.
Okay, that isn't it. They wouldn't necessarily know about it, would they?
Well, they would have been provided notice since they were tenants in the building.
Okay.
Because there was a common area issue, so all units were provided notice.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Other commissioners, questions? Okay. All right, if there are no questions, I'll open the oral argument segment. And I'd like to invite the landlord. Sir, please, before you will have 5 minutes, as I said, to present your case. Would you like to divide your time before the presentation of the rebuttal? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Thank you, Commissioner. No, I don't need to divide the time. I think I'll take the front and 5 minutes and let you guys wrap up.
Sure, of course, thank you. So you just begin with stating your name and the city of residence for the record, and you may begin.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner, and I appreciate all the commissioners for joining in. My name is Taylor Megdahl. I am the owner of 1021 North Edinburgh, and I just want to thank actually the hearing examiner who rendered this decision. It actually was a very cohesive and well articulated reasoning and positioning, and he spelled out precisely, as he's empowered to do, as he's trained to do, exactly the law. And I think John, who is the attorney in this matter for the commission, very smartly and wisely mentioned that the commission should be deferential to the zoning and to the hearing examiner, because they are really tasked to hear the matter at hand. And to the extent that hearing examiner had substantial evidence to make the judgment that he did, the RSO should be consistent with his ruling. And I'm actually here to tell you that as a fellow lawyer, the hearing examiner did a great job. And I think you should affirm his decision. With that said, I want to point out the hypocrisy of the NOI application that you guys just wrapped up. That was heard by just as capable and competent a zoning and examiner. And that examiner has had a lot of experience in hearing these cases, and he had rendered a decision back to the commission advising rents to be modified accordingly. You guys then remanded it back to him. Since
Mr. McDowell, but we're not discussing the NOI.
No, I just, it's important, Commissioner. It is important because it's important because what I'm trying to tell you is you should affirm this decision, and you should have affirmed the other decision. And it's quite frankly, in my sitting from my seat, what you guys did on the previous matter, you know, you're cherry picking, and it's fine. And I get that this is a politicized process, and I understand that you guys are appointed, and you understand that you guys want to be the protector of rent control and
this is irrelevant
affordability in the city. No, but it's
would you like to stick with the issues of the appeal?
Yeah. So I guess
regarding the laundry,
what I'm trying to say is, with the removal of the washer and dryer, that is spelled out pretty precisely. And, the hearing examiner, who is supposed to be treated deferentially, he's reviewed all of the material. He knows the law and the statutes probably better than the commissioners. And I fully expect and actually endorse you guys confirming it, because that's what you ought to do in 99 out of 100 of these cases. It's, quite frankly, upsetting that, I'm here to tell you should affirm this one, but you should affirm the other one. And that's the unfortunate hypocrisy of it. And I appreciate what you guys do. I mean, you're not here to wage war against me. You're an advocacy for tenants, but it's you didn't stand up for the law consistently, and that's fine. I think mandate though should be more transparent and visible, that you guys are an advocacy for the tenants and not the landlord. I just don't think you guys are consistently applying the law or the legal principles, and that's fine. But I just wish that, I guess, in summary, I wish it was a little more transparent in that regard, because I have no problem if that's the position. It's just, it seems like there's, a semblance of, hey, these are the rules and these are the statutes and the deference to the hearing examiner. But then you kind of cherry pick on which way is better for the tenant and against the landlord. And so I respect what you guys do. You're in a hard position. So I don't envy the seat you're in. I just wish that, I guess, it was a little more transparent that, the rent commission is an advocacy board for tenants and not landlords. That's nothing
All right.
personal.
That's fine. That's all, Mr. McDowell. That concludes your comments tonight.
Yes, it does. And I actually have to
Okay.
go. So I thank you for your time. And,
Thank you.
Like I said, I think you should listen to the hearing examiner and affirm his
Thank you, Mr.
decision.
Thank you, Mr. McDowell. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. The commission will disregard the comments that are not relevant to the case tonight. With that, we're going to move on. Since the landlord is not here, we cannot ask questions if there are any questions. So we're going to move on to the tenants presentation, and I'm going to invite the tenant at this time. Please, the first you will have 5 minutes, of course. And please, before you begin, state your name and the city of residence for the record, and you may begin your 5 minutes.
Hi, Terry Bolo, resident of West Hollywood, 1021 North Edinburgh. I've lived in this unit over 40 years. And all this time, some of you may be aware of what's gone on with the building and how it was in decline for so long because of the previous landlord. So when Mr. Megdal bought the building, he assumed the responsibility of the upkeep of the building, which is still not up to par. And my original claim was about the laundry room and specifically my unit, which you're not addressing here today. But I've said everything I've had to say about this situation, and I've gone, through the proper channels to try to remedy, what's been going on, and it was ruled in my favor. So this was his appeal, and he didn't speak to the subject at hand. So I think what the commission decided should stand. And I have the whole thing here of all about the laundry room and my unit in particular, which I'm in agreement with. So this seems to me was more for him and about him since he appealed it. So everything is in the record, what I had to say and what's going on here. And in the previous situations that he brought up, which aren't relevant to this particular situation, but are related. So I really don't have anything to add. That I was glad that I had this process to go through to be able to remedy the issues that we've been going through with this building. I know what happened in this building is not his fault, but since he bought the building, it's his responsibility. So, and I appreciate the commission holding him to that and the decision that they made.
Thank you, Ms. Bolo. If that concludes your comments, I'm going to ask the commissioners if you have any questions for the respondent. The Vice Chair.
I'm just curious, Ms. Below, since he removed the landlord removed the washer dryer from the apartment complex, how have you been getting your laundry done?
Well, I have to load up my car and take it to a laundromat.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? All right, I see none. With that, I close the oral argument and we'll move on to the commission deliberation. Before we begin, commissioners, maybe there are any questions that you're going to ask the legal counsel. This is the time. Well, Vice Chair.
Yeah, I'm curious if in this determination, hearing examiner is because the washer dryer was removed in May 2021, is the reduction in rent retroactive to that time?
The reduction in rent will be from the date of the application.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the clarification. I also had the same questions. All right, so if there are Commissioner Kirkus, you want to ask anything?
I'm just curious about process. This is for you, Mr. Donalizio, about the process. And so basically there was an appeal, but he didn't say the words withdraw, but he basically wants us to do the same thing. I think this is a waste of the tenant's time for sure, your time, and our time. I mean,
everyone's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think technically he didn't withdraw the application. He didn't withdraw, or he didn't say that. He just said, yeah. I agree with you. I think the commission has to act because he did not say on the record he was withdrawing his appeal, unfortunately.
He wanted to talk about
I agree. I agree. Legal counsel. Yeah, we have to vote on this decision, on this appeal, since there is no request from the landlord to withdraw the application. So we have to begin the deliberation. Anyone would like to start? Vice Chair?
Sure. Well, just considering whether there is substantial evidence supporting the hearing examiner's determination regarding the laundry room, I believe there is. And did the hearing examiner abuse his discretion? No, I believe they did not. And I just want to put this out there that I apologize that the landlord has used this situation and the process to drag out this determination unnecessarily. But my feelings is that we should support the hearing examiner's decision.
Thank you. Commissioner Maggio?
I'm concurring with the vice chair. I felt that there was, the hearing examiner did not in any way abuse his discretion. In regard to substantial evidence supporting the hearing examiner's determination in regard to the laundry room, well, the appliances were taken out. Then the owner thought that because these appliances were not specifically written in the lease, that they were not part of the service. Well, that proved to be not so. Therefore, there's been a substantial reduction in services, which allows for a $60 reduction for the washer and a $60 reduction for the dryer. However, that reduction does not apply to units 3 and 4. And And of course, this could all be changed with a compliance determination, the owner rectifying the problem so that the machines can be replaced in the laundry room, and those tenants who use that laundry room can use them again. And of course, once that is determined, then the deduction in rent can be reversed. So I am going to support the not only the conclusion, but the recommendation of staff.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kerpis?
I'd say this is one of the clearest cases we've had this year, for sure this year. And
Yeah.
I would be supporting the resolution,
Thank you.
affirming the hearing examiner's decision.
Thank you. And I'm going to be quick, but I just want to emphasize, for tenants and landlords who are watching, if they're watching tonight, so that in the city of West Hollywood, under the rent stabilization ordinance, there is no requirement for the service to be provided in writing. In other words, to be on the rental agreement in order to be a landlord provided housing service. So that's not a requirement. And it's undisputed that the service was there, and therefore elimination of that service would trigger reduction in rent, and that was the correct decision by the hearing examiner. The examiner was correctly supported by the record evidence and by the RSO provisions, and therefore I concur with my fellow commissioners that the findings are correct, and I'm going to affirm the staff recommendation for this matter. And also just want to mention that since Commissioner Maggio mentioned the $60 rent reduction for a washer and the $60 rent reduction for the dryer, total of $120. That comes from the updated range for the suggested guidelines, which is between $28 and $80. So the examiner reasonably used the $60 in this particular case, but in other cases, it may be a different amount used. So I just wanted to mention that. So I'm in agreement with staff's recommendation, and anyone wants to make a motion?
I'll move that we adopt resolution RSC 23-621, a resolution of the Rent Stabilization Commission of the City of West Hollywood affirming the hearing examiner's decision as to the rent decrease for application number D4689.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion on motion? No. All right, Ms. Secretary, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Kerpis?
Aye.
Commissioner Maggio?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ayers?
Aye.
Chair Topshin?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, commissioners, and thank you to both parties. And if the parties have any further questions regarding this appeal tonight, you can reach the Rent Stabilization Division at 323-848-6450 during normal work hours. I can repeat the number, 323-848-6450. For the parties who joined us through Zoom, you will now be placed back in the waiting room. If you'd like to watch the rest of the meeting, you may find your options to do so at WehoTV. Commissioner Kerpis, you have a question?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for Mr. Natalizio. In this case, if the individual, if there is, we don't even know if there is a tenant in number 4, but if there is a tenant there and they have been instructed by their landlord that they're not allowed to use their washer, would they be able to file a rent decrease? Or does this decision tonight eliminate that right to them?
Very good question.
I mean, it's a separate application. So, I mean, the fact that they're precluded from this one, I mean, I think if they were instructed, if the evidence in the record says that they have a in-unit washer and dryer, but it's actually something they can't use, then yes, I think that would qualify as something they could apply for. But ultimately the hearing examiner is going to have to determine that. But I think that yes, that it's something that they do.
So that tenant's not precluded from. Okay. And I'm getting messages, Chair, that Stephanie Harker was not able to access the meeting or enter for public comment.
Maybe, Ms. Secretary, maybe we can send the link again, or maybe call Ms. Harker and see if she's if she has a connection and if she'd like to address the commission.
I do see someone in the waiting room with a phone number, but they had joined during the appeal.
Okay, so we don't know if it's Ms. Harker or not. All right, yeah, so we need to,
I think it is.
All right, okay, so then Ms. Secretary, please check if she's able to see us, hear us, and then maybe, if she wants to speak, then we can bring her up.
Okay, they've been admitted.
They've been admitted. All right, perfect. But before that, we have item 10. Well, that concludes our appeal portion of tonight's agenda. So I don't have any questions for
Sorry, did she want to speak on the appeal? Is that?
I assume that the public comment. No. All right. Yeah, that's a good point.
If you want to speak on the appeal, then my advice would be to someone make a motion or to reopen the public hearing so that they can then provide their public comment. And then,
okay, so let's.
And then if they want to, if that changes the commission's decision, but that would be my recommendation. And then.
Interesting, but let's check with the Ms. Secretary. Please can check with Ms. Harker to see if she wants to speak in the appeal.
She's currently admitted into the meeting. Are you able to hear us?
Oh, well, please unmute yourself. Okay.
Reopen the public hearing so that they can provide their public comment.
I think it's a delay.
And if they want to, if that changes the commission's decision, but that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, that's her number though.
All right. So.
Hello.
Hi, Ms. Harker. Did you want to speak regarding the appeal, or
no,
you have a general public comment?
No, I was just listening in, and thank you for finally letting me on. But
if it's a general public comment, you just need to wait a few minutes.
That's okay. It was really for before the appeal, but it's fine. Happy New Year to you all, and thank you for your service to the city.
Thank you. All right. So therefore, okay, since we concluded the appeal, let's move on to the next item, which is the item number 10, new business. I don't see anything scheduled under this item. Let's move on to the items from staff. I want to bring back the general manager.
Nothing further from staff, Chair. Thank you.
Nothing. All right. Questions, commissioners, for the Ms. Manager? All right. Then public comments next. Ms. Secretary, anyone at this time?
No public comments at this time.
No public comments. All right. Moving on to the item number 13, items from commissioners. Commissioners, do you have any comments? Commissioner Maggio?
Yes, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our new mayor, Mayor Shine, for allowing me to be the master of ceremony for her installation. It was a great honor and such a compliment. And I'm so delighted that you chose me. And I, of course, wish you all the very best for a very successful year. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other commissioners?
I forgot to mention that in my first announcement. Sorry about that.
Commissioner Purpose. All right. Other commissioners, I see no comments. All right. With that, I'm gonna adjourn this meeting until the next regular meeting of the Rent Stabilization Commission to be held on Thursday, January 26th, 2023 at 7 p.m. via teleconference. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.